Hi, I'm Catherine, and I make videos about everyday life in New Zealand. Stories about home, creativity, and connection. I found this old recipe in my family cookbook. It's called Betty's Caramel Fudge Cake 1971. Just a brief recipe written in my mother's hand. No story though, just a name and a year. So today, more than 50 years later, I'm remembering Betty and making her cake. I love these old recipes. Simple steps, no real guidance, just mix until it feels right. Maybe Betty knew that part didn't need writing down. In those days, baking skills were handed down from one great cook to the next. When my mother started this recipe book, she was living in Australia. Baking this cake gives me pause to imagine what her life was like for her back then, and the wonderful cooks who preceded her. Growing up, I always enjoyed hearing stories about my nana using the wood-fired oven to bake cakes. Her trick for knowing if the oven was at the right temperature was to lick her finger and tap it against the side of the oven. Brave. There are annotations on the recipe and butter stains on the pages. Recreating Betty's recipe, whoever Betty was, feels like connection, a sharing across time and distance. While the cake is in the oven, I'm making the chocolate butter icing. There's no recipe for this anywhere in my mother's recipe books. It was imprinted into me from my childhood. A dob of butter, a splash of boiling water, icing sugar and cocoa powder. Delicious. It's 1 week later now, and I'm reporting into you to let you know how Betty's cake from 1971 went. So this container holds the last pieces. Can you guess how many? 2. And I thoroughly enjoyed it with my family this week. It turned out not to be a cake. Look at that. It's more of a slice, and it's so buttery, very old school. Yeah. Just delicious. So it was a wonderful experiment using my mum's recipe book. This was her very first recipe book from when she got married, and she got a lot of people that she knew to write recipes in it for her. I called her just before I filmed this today, and I said, "Do you remember who Betty was from 1971?" And she was like, "No, truly I don't." So who knows, it could have been Betty from a magazine clipping that she saw, a newspaper article, a radio show, who knows. But Betty's legacy lives on, and I'm sure Betty would approve that more than 50 years later we're still making her beautiful slice. If you'd like to see more glimpses of life here in New Zealand, subscribe. I'd love to connect with you.